Hello and welcome to another Clay Creator build. Today's model is the Key Stage 2 version of the elephant. And I'm very confident we'll be able to get your model looking something like this today. For the build, we will need our scales, creator card and tools. We'll also need our pots of clay, obviously, plus, if possible, an airtight container. If you have to, Tupperware, lunchbox, absolutely fine. It's just to help keep your model nice and fresh as we are building and working our way through the process of putting them together. Before we get started though, I'm going to go over the facts for the elephant. Hopefully there's some new information here that you can take on board, maybe use again with our information sheets, our word searches and crosswords later on. So fact number one. Elephants are the largest land animal on the planet, and elephants generally live in Africa and Asia. Now obviously they live in zoos all around the world, but when they're in the wild they generally live in Africa and Asia. Fact number two, a female elephant is called a cow, a male elephant is called a bull, and a baby elephant is called a calf. Fact number three, elephants are herbivores, which means they only eat vegetables and plants. Fact number four kind of goes on for the eating situation. We're moving on to their trunks. Their trunks, as well as helping them eat, so they use their trunks to eat by picking up food and put it into the mouth. They also use it to drink, so they suck up water, put it into their mouth. But their trunks can also sense the size, shape and temperature of other objects. Fact number five, the elephant's tusks are made out of ivory, and the tusks are the little bits on the outside of their nose, or trunk, so to say, which are these bits. Fact number six, elephants normally have 26 teeth. Fact number seven, when a baby elephant is born, it can weigh up to 110 kilograms, and it is completely blind when it's born, so it can't see anything when it's first born. And finally, fact number eight, elephants are regarded with the same sort of intelligence as chimps and dolphins. Okay, so that's all the facts done. Onto the build itself. We're going to get started by mixing our grey. So we're going to need our white clay and we're going to need our black clay. I'm going to just turn my scales on, make sure they are at 0 all the way across the board with the letter G for grams, make sure they're at the right unit. And the white clay is going to be measured out 15.50 grams, so 15.50, so a good chunk of white clay. And this grey mix is going to take most of our elephant. Woo! Throwing clay away now. So I touch too much. Okay. So I have my white. The black is going to be measured out at 1 gram. So 100 of black. Only a small black ball. Fantastic. And we're just going to mix these two together. Like I say, this is going to make the grey for most of our elephant. So we're going to split this grey. I'm going to do measurements throughout this to do the head, body, legs, arms, trunk, ears, and then any extra leftover obviously you can use for other details. I'm happy with that grey. So like I said, we're going to start off with a quick measurement and quick split through. First one is going to be the body, and the body is going to be 7.50, so 750 of the grey for the body. If this is slightly under, it's not a problem. It's better to be under on this measurement than over. So I have a 746 on that one, so I'm happy with that. We're going to do the next measurement as well whilst we're here. We're going to do a 4.00, and this will be his head. Again, slightly under, slightly over, won't be too much of a problem on this one. I'm at 401 on there. So I've got the body and I've got the head. The rest we're going to put into our airtight container for the time being. We're just going to put these together quickly. Okay, let's start with the body. I'm going to get rid of all the lumps and bumps, stretch it out, and then roll it into a nice smooth ball. You can use your hands, you can use your work surface, whatever works best for you. Same again with the head, trying to make it as smooth as possible. And then all we're going to do is put those two together, smaller one on top. Now with the body, it's up to you whether you want him to be a perfect ball or whether you want to kind of change the shape a little bit. I've gone a little bit more Kinder Egg kind of shape there. And then I'm going to put the head on the top. So he should sit on top of it, sit on top of each other nicely, like so. Now we're going to keep adding to this as we go, but I don't want that to dry out too much, so I'm going to swap that over with the other clay in my airtight container. I'm going to leave him in there. And we're going to move on to doing his legs and arms. We'll start off with his legs. Scales back on, make sure they're at 0. And I'm going to measure out 1 gram, so 100. So I'm at 102. Okay. Now again, you can put this away into your airtight container if you want, but I'm just going to use it pretty quickly, so I'm not worrying right now. Right, so our legs need to be split in half. So again, you can do this exact by using the scales if you want. So technically we should be at 050, or in my case 5151. And these are going to be my legs. Again, if you can get rid of lumps and bumps and try and smooth them out, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to start off from the balls. What we're going to do, we're going to roll these out into little sausages. So I'm going to gently add a little bit of pressure. Not too much, trying to keep it even pressure. And if you can measure roughly, using your ruler on the card, roughly 2 centimeters, just over 2 centimeters, is absolutely fine. And like I said, these are going to be his legs. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tool, and at the front end or at one end, I'm going to just do a couple of little lines to try and make it look a little bit like a foot. You can do your own sort of decoration if you want. You don't have to worry about that. Okay. I'm going to add that to the body now. So again, airtight container, grab him back out. And what we're going to do, we're going to place these around the bottom of the body. So if he's looking at you, I'm going to put them either side and then I'm going to stick them on. So I will take them. You don't need to put them underneath really. You can put them underneath, you can put them on the edge around the outside, depending on how you want your elephant to look. I've done a little bit of both, so it's slightly sitting on them. Okay. And I think now would be a good time, before the clay dries out too much, to give him a little smile. Okay, so we're going to move up to the head. Now that you've got to the front of an elephant, you know where to put a smile. I'm going to put a little smile in using my tool. Try and be gentle with your other hand while you're holding. So I've got a little smile on my elephant now. And then I've got a marker where I can put a trunk and the rest of the other bits later on. I'm going to put him back into my airtight container, just while I measure out his arms now. So what I'm going to do is arms, and his arms are going to be another measurement similar to the legs. I believe it's the same actually. So we're going to go to 100 again of clay, so 1 gram. Okay. And this 1 gram, again, split in half. So just double check once you've split it in half that you are close. A little bit off. I'm going to do pretty much the same as we did with the legs. This time we're going to just put them on as, fantastic, put them on obviously as arms on the side of him. So I'm going to get rid of those lumps and bumps again. Start off with a nice smooth circle, and I'm just going to roll them out again to roughly the 2 centimeter. If it's a little bit longer, that's fine. Add gentle pressure to the sides. Good. Again, take them out of your airtight container. And this time, from the shoulders, this time we're just going to put the arms on and gently bring them down the side. Now you can have the arms at whatever position you want. If you want them pressing on his tummy, you can do. If you want them straight down the sides, again, you can do. Make your elephant look however you want. Again, I'm going to give a little bit more detail again on his little arms as hands, or trotters. I know elephants don't have hands, but I'm making him a happy little elephant. We should have something that looks like this now. And it's time to do the detailing at the top to make him look a little bit more like an elephant. So I'm going to put him again back into my airtight container. And we're just going to get onto his ears now. So his ears are a bit bigger and floppy like elephant ears. And again, we're going to do the same measurement as we have done for the legs and the arms. I'm going to go for a 100 of grey clay again. Oops. And again, I'm going to split this in half for his ears. Fantastic. So again, splitting in half again. We should be at 050 for both ears. Okay. Again, back to the round ball to start off with. Now what we're going to do with the ears, we're going to kind of shape them a little bit differently. And we're going to try and we need to flatten them out. And there's no right or wrong. If you want to do your elephant's ears slightly different, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to give you what we do. So they're going to be flattened out and they're going to kind of be more of a teardrop kind of shape. So kind of a little bit pointier at one end. And I'll explain here how to do that. All I'm going to do is gently press down and we're going to make them into a little bit flat discs. Not too flat because you still want a little bit of elephant, the thickness in the ear. So I've kind of gone down, kind of that sort of thing. Okay, if you want to keep going, now all I'm going to do is at one end of this, I'm going to keep pressing down. And then I'm going to grab the sides and I'm just going to pinch them in a little bit from the sides. It's a little bit of moulding with your hands. Again, it's not wrong if you do it slightly different. It's absolutely fine. Everyone's going to be slightly different. And all we're going to do is kind of mould that shape-wise how you want. So we should have something that kind of looks that sort of shape. And again, you can change this shape a little bit once they're on your elephant, and it's going to be the pointier end that we stick to the head. Okay, I'm going to do that now. We're going to get him back out of our container. And if he's looking at you now, I'm going to take the pointier ends and I'm going to put them on either side. Okay, give them a gentle press down. And so once they are on, you can kind of shape them a little bit. Give them a little bit of a fold if you want, and get them how you want. So I've gone kind of like this. Time for the trunk. his eyes and his tusks, and we're going to try and get them on nice and quickly before it dries out too much, okay? But again, I'm going to put him back into my airtight container whilst I do this. Okay, and then we're going to measure out, again with this leftover clay, his trunk now, and his trunk's going to be a 050 of the grey clay, so a little bit smaller this time. And all we're going to do again, we're going to roll this one out into a little bit thinner sausage, and we're going to add a little detail to this, if you can. So lumps, bumps gone. So on his trunk, I'm going to put the little lines on as if he's curved his trunk, and give him some nostrils at the front as well. So again, I'm going to roll out on here, and we're looking, I mean, it's depending on how much whether you want him to have a really long trunk or whether you want it to be a little bit shorter. It's up to you. I'm going to roll this one out to around about, I've gone for 3 centimeters, and then all I'm going to do, so I can put those nostrils in, I'm going to bend it over slightly. I'm going to press on the end just to give it a flat end. Okay, so technically it can stand up and it's got a little flatter point. On that flatter point, I'm going to take my tool, I'm going to put 2 little lines in there to give it the effect of his nostrils. If I curve it slightly, that's kind of what we're going to be going for. And then on that top, like I said, I'm going to put the details on. I'm going to do a few lines across there as if they're the lines he gets from his trunk bending all the time. Okay, again, you can change that, you can add a little bit more once it's onto the actual elephant. Okay, once we've got that, let's get him on. The trunk's going to go just above his mouth, leaving enough room for us to get his tusks on. So just a gentle push again. Try not to be too rough with your other hand, so you don't squash the rest of the clay. Again, if you need to tweak where his mouth is, now's the time. Okay, and as you can see, as your clay starts to dry, his trunk's going to drop. Okay, so depending on how you want your elephant's nose, or sorry, his trunk to kind of finish as it's drying, is what you do now. Basically, as you're leaving him to dry, if I left him to dry now, his trunk would eventually droop down. I want it to kind of be a little bit curved up, so when I finish going through this, I'm going to place something just underneath to hold the trunk in place so it dries where I want it. Okay, so put those lines back in if you've kind of squished and got rid of any of them, and then I'm going to get his eyes and his tusks done before I place something underneath. Okay, so not going to worry about putting him away again. I'll put my airtight container out of the way, and we're going to move over to the white clay for his tusks and his eyes. Now his eyes are going to be, basically they're going to be small little pinches of white clay. You can start off with a 0.5 measurement if you want. I will go with a 0.5 just as a guider, but what I'll do, I'll split that in half. So I've got my 0.5, and I'm going to cut that in half with my tool, because I like my eyes to be quite small and delicate. You might not be able to go quite as small, but again, as you do more of these, you'll be able to get a little bit better with the clay, and it will become easier to do the small little details and the decoration to it. So I've chopped that down again. I've got pretty small ones, and I'm going to just press them down slightly to flatten them out, ready for the eye shape. So I press them down, not too much, a little bit of spare white clay. I'll put that away. So I'm now going to add the black pupils in, and this is going to be a tiny pinch of black. It's going to obviously have to be smaller than the white that we've just done. So I'm going to cut this tiny pinch of black in half. I'm going to cut one of them in half. I might even do that again. Now, as long as your pupils are the same size, it should have the same effect on both eyes. So I've got one, Just gently pop it in the middle of your eye. Same again with the other one. You can add that onto your elephant, leaving enough room for us to put the trunk on. So I'm going to take my eyes. Like I say, it's a little bit fiddly now. You've got to be gentle. Hopefully your elephant's starting to look like so. And finishing touches are going to be the trunk, is going to be the tusks, and then finally a little tail. We could do the tail now. So with the tail, again, we've got plenty of leftover clay. It's up to you whether you want to do a bigger tail, smaller tail. I'll generally do a smaller tail, and all I do, take a pinch, roughly the 1 centimeter measurement on your creator card, maybe a little bit smaller. All we do is roll that into a little tiny sausage, and you can have this curved up. You can change it however you want. I'm going to do a little S sort of shape, and we just stick that at the back under his bottom. Just a little bit at the back. This helps keep him sitting in the right position as well. There we go. So you do have some leftover, some spare clay, which you can then use at free play time. Add that to the extra bits that we do. And finally is going to be his tusks. And his tusks are going to be measured out using our creator card. And it's going to be the white clay. Now the measurement says 1 centimeter on the creator card. Okay, I will split that in half. Oops, I've got way too much. So remember, when you're measuring, make sure you can still see the outline. If you want to make these a bit smaller, it's okay, it's up to you. If you want to make them a bit bigger, again, obviously, your choice. I'm going to start off with the 1 centimeter. I'm going to split that in half. And what we're going to do with these tusks, I'll roll them into little sausages, but then we're going to kind of point them at the end slightly. So what we do, we roll them out nice and even, like we have done with most of the rolling out today. Roll them out nice and even-ish, and then once you have rolled them out, now we're only going to roll them out to a smaller length. Roll them out for maybe a centimeter, centimeter and a half, 2 centimeters, because then when we the next step that we're going to do, we're going to point them at the end, it stretches them a little bit more. So all I'm going to do at one end, I'm going to gently press down a little bit more, and just point one end. So you should end up with a pointy end and a thicker end on your tusk. So hopefully it kind of looks a little like this. We will then curve when we put it on. I'm just going to curve it now, so normally a tusk would look something like this. So I'm going to do that with them both before I stick them on. And then you can then stick them onto your elephant, to the sides of his trunk, just above his mouth. Again, same situation as the trunk. Depending on how you want these to dry, as to whether you need to put something underneath whilst drying. Okay. My elephant is now complete. Hopefully we've got yours looking something similar. Okay, so I'm going to pop him down, and now it's time for you to use your imagination. You're onto your free play time, so you can use that extra clay that we had left over. You then can also weigh out 5 grams in total for your extra clay, for you to then basically build alongside, build something different if you want. You can have one of every colour, 1 gram of every colour, or you can mix that 5 grams just with a couple if you need to. Okay. Like I say, do as you wish, do what you want. Let's see some really cool imagination work. After that, we have our activity sheets, word searches, crosswords for you to download from claycreators.com. And if you are running low on clay, please head to claycreators.com/shop to order more. Now, if you found the scales a little bit tricky today, there is the key stage 1 version that we do where we use measuring spoons instead of the scales. If you prefer to try and do it that way round, you can also get hold of some measuring spoons from claycreators.com. And then try the other way. Okay, work out whichever works best for you, and I hope you then continue to enjoy building clay creators. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.